Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. Just made the market bell. Today, we have to talk about what happened 15 years ago. Let me reveal the truth behind Bitcoin's creation and why it's so important. Because you know what? Those banks, those greedy banks are not going to be stopping their greedy ways. So let's talk about this and let's talk about everything else that's going on in the world today. Let's do this. Welcome. As you can see, today we're off to a rough start. Red all around. But, you know, it could turn around slightly down. NASDAQ down more than Dow and S&P. But today, I think the big news of the day is the UAW. They were not able to come to agreement with the big three. So now, at least some of them are going on strike. All right. And this is simultaneously across all three American manufacturers. Right. So it will affect Ford, Jeep, and Chevy, and basically all the sub brands too, right? So this is no good. I covered this yesterday. It was, maybe some of you guys didn't care, but something like this is definitely going to drive people away and into the arms of, let's say, Tesla, because Tesla does not have union to worry about and does not have dealerships or any of the traditional, I guess, nuances of car buying or shopping. Right? You go straight to a website and order. That's it. Right? So this will definitely drive more people to Tesla and drive people away from traditional automakers and traditional dealerships. Right? So, yeah, it's not good. Not good at all for them. And none of them are strapped with cash either. They're all kind of struggling too. But anyways, moving on. Speaking of cash, you have one of the smartest guys on the planet telling people, hey, it's okay to hold cash, but do so temporarily. Certainly do not use that cash to buy debt or bonds. You don't want to be locked in. Several banks actually went bankrupt because of that. Earlier this year, we had 3 major regional banks go under because what did they do? They used all their cash and they bought bonds, and when they needed that cash back, they couldn't get it. They had to sell those bonds at a loss. And then they went under. And then they got bailed out. They got bailed out by the Fed, right? So Ray Dalio was like, yeah, due to what's going on, holding on cash may be smart, right? That's why you want to hold on temporarily. And then use it when you can, but certainly don't be buying debt or bonds. And when Ray Dalio talks, people listen. He's one of the smartest financial people on earth, CEO and chairman. I don't know CEO anymore. Chairman of Bridgewater Associates, right? Excuse me. But that leads me to one of my main topics for today, and that is what happened 15 years ago, right? Speaking of banks and failures and distrust and central banks and everything else that relates, you know, why should we not trust banks and central banks, or even governments for that matter? Because 15 years ago, guess who collapsed? Lehman Brothers did. I still can't believe it's 15 years ago, because in the back of my mind, it feels like it's only been 5 years or 6 years. But no, it was 15 years ago. Okay, the 2008 housing bubble, or you could say financial collapse, it almost collapsed the whole world. That's how bad it was. So first you have Bear Stearns collapse, and remember the famous clip from Jim Cramer saying a day before, saying Bear Stearns is fine. There's nothing wrong with Bear Stearns. Go buy Bear Stearns, right? And then the next day it collapses. And then that led to a lot of fear. And then eventually that led to Lehman Brothers. But after Lehman Brothers collapsed and went bankrupt this day, September 15, 2008, that's when things got really bad. Really, really bad. Every bank started going belly up, left and right. People were withdrawing all their money from all the banks, right? That's how FDIC insurance got I guess changed from I think 100,000 back then to 250,000, and Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, AIG insurance, like everything was collapsing, right? Had the Fed not come in and bail out everyone once again, and at that time it was an $800 billion bailout, and at that time it was outrageous to think that the Fed needed to print 800 billion more to give to the banks because nothing like that has ever been done before, right? But it was done, and it was done to save all the greedy banks. They would have all collapsed, every single one, and not just the ones in the US. Every single one in Europe and in Asia, they were all connected. They all borrow money and have debt on each other. They would have all collapsed. We would have fallen into the dark ages once again had the Fed not come in and give them money. That's how bad it was. It really was bad. And markets crashed like crazy. I don't know if you guys remember those days. Dow had days where it fell 2,000-3,000 on a normal basis. And I remember for 6 months straight, you had minus 300, minus 400, minus 500, minus 1,000, minus 100. I mean, Dow Jones fell down to like 6,000 back in 2008, right? It was really, really, really bad. And guess what? That's when Satoshi, whoever he or they are, created Bitcoin because they're like, enough is enough. That's why Bitcoin was created in 2008. A month after the Lehman collapse, right? The white paper was published and the network was started. This was a direct response by the people, for the people, because at that time, how can you trust banks after what happened, right? After how every single one was over-leveraged and about to collapse, and the only reason why they didn't go under was because they were all bailed out, right? But in the real world, if you're not a gigantic bank, you don't get bailed out. A lot of people lost everything. A lot of people lost their money and their businesses, their livelihood, their families. They lost everything, right? Only the banks won. No one else did. So that's why Bitcoin was actually created, right? Because Satoshi said, you know what? We need something better. We need something much better. We can't rely on these greedy banks. And you know what? Did the banks learn anything in the last 15 years? You figure they did, right? There must be more protection and they must be smarter about being too over-leveraged, right? No, that's actually not the case. So that also, I saw this and I was just like, and it's just basically a repeat of before. And we already had 3 bank failures this morning. Not this morning, this year. Remember that. We already had 3 bailouts, okay? Really big bailouts. But look at the top 5 largest U.S. banks, okay? I don't know if you guys can see this clearly, but orange is how much assets these banks hold. And then blue is how much derivatives they have. And basically the green is how over-leveraged they are, the ratio between the total derivatives and the assets. So if you're looking at this, Wells Fargo is over-leveraged by 9.5x. Bank of America, 9.5x. Citibank is over-leveraged by 32x. JP Morgan is over-leveraged by 17x. And then this is a staggering stat. Goldman Sachs is over-leveraged by 110x. 110x. There's something wrong there, right? This is fractional banking, guys. The banks don't have anywhere close to the money that they really need to be solvent. If there was a bank run on any of these banks, right? That's why bank runs are so dangerous, because if there is a bank run, they can't possibly pay out and they will lose all their deposits and basically they're done for, right? That's why no bank ever wants to hear about a bank run. That's why it's so important to put on this face that nothing will ever go wrong, right? And right now the Fed is doing what it can to do that, right? Where don't you guys think it's weird that we had 3 bank failures earlier due to the high rates, and then we haven't heard about it again? Like somehow all the banks are just good. Like we have no more problems with bank failures. What happened? Well, this is what happened. The Fed is secretly using up all its money and loaning it to these banks. Look at the balance sheet of the Fed right now. It was at 0, which it should be. The Fed shouldn't be loaning out anything, right? The Fed's responsibility is price stability, right? And printing money when needed. But look at it. It is at a negative $100 billion right now. Okay, why do you think, and this is within the last year, and why do you think they went to a negative $100 billion? To bail out the banks. This is why we don't hear about banks collapsing anymore, right? It's too fearful, because once you have a bank run on one bank, then people get fearful and start doing a bank run on another bank, and that leads to another bank run, and so forth, right? So right now, all these banks, what they're doing is, if they're in trouble, they go straight to Daddy Powell and ask for money, and Daddy Powell will give them money because it's for the betterment of the whole, basically, right? So see, this is all done behind the scenes and no one's really paying attention. But is this sustainable, right? Can this go on forever? Can the US and the Fed forever print money, borrow money, distribute money, prop up the banks, even the ones that should be going under? In my opinion, can't go on forever, right? And this is exactly what Ray Dalio thinks as well. He thinks the dollar is going to collapse because of too much debt, too much leverage. This is why he's also saying don't buy any debt and bonds, because there's already too much of it. And this is why. This is the truth behind Bitcoin. See, if you understand just a little bit, and this is just a fraction of what's really going on, there's way worse things that's going on that I can't explain. But if you truly understand what this is about, you would be putting all your money into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin doesn't inherently have any of these negative, things that we see with the banking sector, with the Fed, with governments. We just don't see it. You can't over leverage. You can't print more. You can't apply monetary policy, monetary easing, or tightening, and all this nonsense that governments around the world, use to manipulate money and manipulate rates and manipulate basically your buying power, right? That's why we have Bitcoin, guys. That's why we have Bitcoin. Stick with Bitcoin. All right. And, and since Bitcoin's release, it's been 15 years. 15 years seems so long, but it really isn't. But, this is what Bitcoin's network, what it looks like now and what it has been doing for the last 15 years. Basically growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, right? You can't even... Yeah, it really wasn't even noticeable until probably like 2017. But, go all the way back from 2009 to 2017, the hash rate of the network was growing, but very little people was in this space, right? But 2017 is when things got really exciting. Things really changed. And then let's not forget 2021 was even better. And now the landscape is different. You don't see the hash rate ever come down anymore. The miners are getting stronger. The holders are getting stronger, right? And just look at the institutions. Now they're like, okay, we can't ignore Bitcoin anymore, and we're all going to jump in. That's why you have like 9 of the biggest fund managers on the planet that's trying to offer a spot Bitcoin ETF. This is why Bitcoin, okay, no matter short-term volatility, no matter what's it doing short-term, long-term we know Bitcoin is going higher. Okay, Bitcoin is going to go much higher because it doesn't have any of the problems that our current financial industry has, right? And demand keeps going up and supply keeps going down. It's that simple, right? So this is what one person thinks Bitcoin is going to do from our current level, about 26.5, right? As we approach the halving event and as we get some spot Bitcoin ETFs approved, right? We're going to do this, just like 5 Elliott wave pattern, right? And we will eventually break that 69,000 top. And then once we do that, we're going to go higher and probably end around 240,000 by the end of 2025. Again, this is right in line with so many people's prediction. A lot of people think that by the end of this cycle, we will be a $250,000 each for Bitcoin. That's roughly 10 times higher than where we are now. 10 times, which is a lot. And if Bitcoin could do a 10x from here, what about Ethereum? What about Avalanche? What about Cardano? Can they do a 10x? Yes. They're more likely to do a 20x or even a 30x. I think more millionaires will be made from this cycle than any other cycle before because I think there's going to be so much money coming in. It's unfathomable, really, right now. Here's another look, right? Very similar. Very similar. We're getting closer and closer to a halving event. And then what happens after every halving event? We start going up like crazy. That's just what happens. Right? Like, I don't see why people just don't see that or people don't care or understand, right? Or don't believe. But this is what happens, right? And this is next year, guys. And we're already midway through September. We're almost in October. This year is almost over. It's flying by. 2024 is right around the corner. I've been telling you guys, the quadfecta is coming in 2024. The halving event, spot Bitcoin ETFs, rate cuts, and presidential election, the quadfecta of pumps is coming next year. So, just think about that. All right, last few things. What do we have? We have Celsius, their chief revenue officer, Ronnie, pleaded guilty, and he will be testifying against Alex Mazinski. Great. Alex looks really guilty as SBF at this point. But yeah. What else is there? A little Binance FUD. I mean, Binance US challenges SEC's unreasonable demands a legal showdown, right? But the SEC is saying no, they're just not doing anything. And so far, they only produced 220 documents, right? So who's right? Is Binance right saying that they're just making unreasonable demands? Probably. We know this is SEC. They like to drag things on and basically try to bankrupt people. They don't really try to win. They just try to bankrupt them, right? So maybe this is correct. And maybe this is correct too, that Binance has just not been compliant because they just don't want to be, right? I don't know. The truth is somewhere in the middle, but this is ongoing. I do know Binance US is losing a lot of executives right now. They lost their CEO. They lost their chief legal officer or whatever. Binance US is not looking so hot these days. All right. That's pretty much it. Today is still a pretty negative day. Let's see. Ooh, Tesla's down. Coinbase is down. Mara. I kind of expected Tesla to be up today because I thought this UAW strike would push more people to Tesla, and Wall Street would recognize that. But maybe they're behind the curve. I would not be surprised if Tesla turns green because of this. Anyways, overall for Bitcoin and crypto, about even. Not much movement today. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up. Let's see if I missed anything. Alex, good morning. JC, Randy, good morning. Starman Ming, Tesla is positive, no longer. I did ring the bell. You guys missed it. It was during my intro. Broke man Sachs. I don't know how Goldman is able to get away with this. Yeah, I just don't. But here's the interesting fact. Every single Treasury Secretary and every single Fed chairman, I believe, maybe it's not every, but almost all of them have worked at Goldman Sachs. Okay. Even Gary Gensler worked at Goldman Sachs. It's like all the top officials that have anything to do with money, they all worked at Goldman Sachs. It's like a cult. It's like a cult membership or something like that. I forgot today's Friday. Happy Friday, guys. Alex asks, why is there not more hype around mining stocks, Ryan and Mara? There is. A lot of people do buy them. I hold some Mara options too. I mean, but they're so volatile. They'll go up and down like 10% in a day, like it's nothing. So you just have to be careful of that. Troy says, spread your money around to different banks to avoid the bail-ins and them taking for their own use. Well, I mean, as soon as you deposit money, it's gone. You know, I'm sure you guys seen or heard of people say, hey, if you go request to take out some serious money, first of all, if you're taking out anything over 10K, they have to ask you what it's for. But if you try to take out some serious money and say, hey, you know what, I want to take out 50,000 or 100,000, they'll go panic, and it's going to take them a while to get that money, right? Forget about if you need to take out like $1 million in cash. They'll just like, they'll probably send the FBI. Kind of like in the Ozarks when Marty tried to take out a few million, they sent the FBI thinking that he was getting robbed. Yeah, once your money is in, it's in forever. It's just kind of gone. I don't know what they do with all that cash. McCall's Cadena recovery. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think they're in recovery at all. What was the movie you suggested on Netflix? Oh, shoot. It was like something the biggest problem or something like that. Let me see. Most dangerous game. Yeah. Another reason why I like TikTok is because, you know, they have clips of movies, and if it's interesting, then you can remind yourself to watch it later. So it's kind of like a movie discovery platform too. Most Dangerous Game is pretty good. Do you think BTC spot ETF will inadvertently take money from crypto stocks like Ryan and Coinbase? Yes. Yes, I do. It makes sense. It makes sense. People buy Ryan and Mara on Coinbase because they feel like they don't have any alternatives. Are you still buying Jordans? No, I have not bought any for a long time. I bought a LV trainer recently. That's pretty cool, but I only wore it once. It looks really good. Have you taken your cars to track yet? Interesting enough, next week there is a Ferrari event by me, so I will be taking my Ferrari there. I think you only get like 3 lap times. It's more of like a dinner party kind of thing. So so that'd be the first time. Big Beans, what is your day job? I don't have a day job. This is my day job. I stream for you guys. I'm a slave to you guys, giving you all the latest alpha and making you understand not to trust banks. Ming. I sound sleepy? Yeah, I am sleepy. I'm not a morning person, but I force myself to get up every morning to stream. What do you think can be done to make the world self-sufficient in food? Why can't we produce enough? Jan, you know that's false. We can produce enough. The problem is the money's not there. Okay? There's more land in I guess the belt line, I guess, in the US. We have more than enough land to produce enough food for the entire world if we wanted to. But again, there's no profits in that, so we don't. There's a lot of lies that I think we all grew up hearing about. Like, oh, you know, there's overpopulation and you know, I don't know, all this stuff. And you know, I'm finding all of it's like false. It's just propaganda. It's just it's just greedy corporations directing the narrative and making you think one way. Braxton, is there any reason why I can't opt out all future updates on my hardware wallets? Um, yeah, you cannot. And see, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because if you don't upgrade, then it might actually fall for some vulnerability, right? Because they're part of those upgrades is to patch those vulnerabilities. But then you don't know if these upgrades bring on some kind of weird backdoor thing that you don't want, right? So you're kind of, that's just how it is. You could just, if you never plug in your a hardware wallet, you don't have to upgrade. You don't have to be forced, right? If you have your ledger, let's say, sitting in a bank vault and just sitting there, I mean, it'll still be fine after a while. Keep in mind, the hardware wallet means nothing. All you really need is a recovery phrase. And you never need to upgrade your recovery phrase. I think that's what people don't understand. The ledger or treasure or whatever wallet that you have, SafePal, all that is fake. Okay? What you really need is your recovery phrase. That's it. That's all you need to access your crypto. Red ruble, see, it, see that's again, that's why most people don't understand. Red ruble says if you don't update the firmware on the ledger, you cannot use it. You can sell, buy, or transfer on the ledger unit. Okay, so again, you don't need the ledger at all. Ledger gives you the recovery phrase, right? So let's say you don't update the firmware and you can't use it. What do? Do you just lose your Bitcoin? Do you lose your crypto? No. You take the recovery phrase and you restore it on another wallet, like MetaMask or Trust Wallet. You could restore on any other wallet and get access to it. So you don't need to update anything. The recovery phrase doesn't need to be updated. The recovery phrase is basically a way for you to easily remember your private key, which gives you access to the crypto on chain. So again, you don't need to upgrade that right now. If you wanted to use Ledger because you want to be using it with Ledger Live and all the extras, then yes, you are forced. But you are not forced to upgrade at all. You could simply recover your crypto to another wallet. That's it. H bar or Sol? I'd pick, I don't know. I would pick Sol, I guess. I don't know why so many people keep asking about H bar. There must be someone else that keeps pushing it. Like, I've said this, I've been neutral on Hedera for a long time. I've never been bullish on it. I don't think my opinion will ever change on that. Pavla said, don't do what I did. I lost my recovery phrase after hiding it very well. Well, then you hit it maybe a little bit too well, right? And I know a lot of people try to remember their recovery phrase, and you may think you have it remembered or memorized, but then, wait 5-10 years. If you miss just one of those words, you're gonna lose it all. So it's still better to like write it down or stamp it on a card, like a metal card. So that way, you don't have to worry about that. Tattoo it? No, that's a horrible, horrible idea. Yeah, I had a sponsor, a company called SafeSeed, that brought all these copper and titanium cards to the event, and we gave it out as a gift. There was a ton left over. People didn't know what it was, but yeah, it looks solid. It looks really solid. It's just it's a pain in the butt to kind of stamp it on, but it gives you peace of mind. Are you bullish or bearish today? I'm always bullish. How's the knee? Did you try any of the knees over guys stuff? Knees over toes? Yes, but still the same. To be honest, I have not been that dedicated to his exercises, but I have still been trying to work out and trying to strengthen the quads and calves and everything. It's slightly better, but at this point, I just recognize it's never going to be the same. If I exercise too much, there's a lot of weakness, and I could feel the swelling. So I'm wearing a compression, sleeve on my knee, which helps a little bit. But I'm fine, I guess. My house should be done in about a month. So from today to next month, man, there will be a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff being worked on. The driveway, the pool, the deck, finishing up the countertops, the closets, I mean, the faucets and fixtures, all within the next month. So, very excited about that. Did you get that generator purchased and installed? No. I talked to the electrician. He's go do some research. I think that generates another like 10 grand. I can't tell you how expensive. Well, I can't tell you enough, I guess, how expensive everything is when you're building a house. You just, I'm lucky that I'm in a position where I could just like throw out cash left and right. For a normal person that's building a house, I just don't know how they could do that. It's like everything is tens of thousands of dollars, and you're going to go way over budget, and it's all cash. So, like that generator is probably another $11,000. The blinds, I just, got a quote. It's like $30,000 for the blinds. And then, I don't know, what else? My basketball setup, that's not in the budget. That was like another $25,000 for the hoops and the floor and everything. I got to get another sump pump. That's another like $2,000-3,000. It just goes on and on and on and on. Oh, epoxy floor for my garage, the floor and some of the walls. That's another $11,000. A car lift is another $11,000. I haven't gotten even to landscaping, probably another $20,000. I don't know how much water sprinkler systems are. That's gonna be in there. I mean, it's just endless, right? Like, and this is like all outside the budget. This is not even within the budget. This is all extras that I'm talking about. And then like my countertops was 30,000 over budget, and then like whatever else, closet was I think 20,000 over budget, and then whatever else, I don't know. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Bottom line is, if you guys are going to build a house, prepare several hundred thousands of dollars, because you are going to go over by that much for sure. All right, I guess that's enough. Enough for today. Overall, today's kind of boring, kind of sideways, but I want to give you guys a lesson in terms of how our economy is, or no, how our financial system is, why you should not trust the banks because of what happened 15 years ago today, and it continues to happen today, which is why Bitcoin exists, why it was created, and why I'm so bullish on it. The more you learn about money, the more you realize that Bitcoin is the answer. All right, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Since today's Friday, no stream tonight. We'll stream tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. The next crypto gem, I haven't talked about it because I totally forgot. The next crypto gem, episode 2, was released yesterday, but it's not on Distro TV yet. It was released on this channel, Bespoke TV, which I don't have access to, but a lot of you guys do on Xfinity and so forth. But it should be on Distro TV today, tonight, and tomorrow. If I get my hands on it, I will post it tomorrow night. But if I can't, then you can watch it on distro.tv. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.